Hello everyone and welcome to the first game we'll be showing of the finals of the Grandchester Finals 2025. It is Fabiano Caruana versus Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. Both of them had a pretty tough match getting to this point. Fabiano defeated Levon Aronian. It was very close match. It all came down to one blitz game. I don't know if you've seen the previous video. Fabi won with 15-13, and the MVL won by a much larger margin, 17-11, defeating Pregna. Now Levon and Prague will battle it out for third place, and Fabi and MVL are fighting, of course, for first. And it's a game that once again shows us how we do not know how to play chess, and maybe, trying to learn queen and pawn endgames is not the best use of your time, as this game will show. Maybe it is, but, it's hard to say. So let's check it out. Fabi with white opens with pawn to d4. And one thing you really want to keep in mind watching this video is the situation on the clock for Fabi and MVL. So d4, we have d5, pawn to c4, pawn to e6, knight c3, knight f6, and c captures on d5. The exchange variation of the queen's gambit declined. E captures, we have bishop to g5 and bishop to e7, pawn to e3, pawn to h6, nothing new being played here. Bishop to h4, we have bishop to g4 attacking the queen, queen to c2, castles kingside, and pawn to h3. We have bishop back to e6, knight f3, knight to e8 offering a trade of bishops, and Fabi says, well, not just yet, even though it's the most played move in the position. Fabi says, let's just keep it a bit more complicated and let's keep material on the board. I have the white pieces. I only get one classical game with white, so, let's not squander it. We have bishop to d6 by MVL, knight to e5, and now knight to c6. And again, everything up to this point has been played. We have knight captures, b captures. Only difference is that now everyone plays bishop captures on d6. And by everyone, I mean the three people that actually got this position. But here, Fabi plays bishop to d3, and it is now as of move 14 that we have a completely new game. And again, situation on the clock. They're both pretty much on their full time. Fabi playing bishop d3 instantly, saying that I have this prepared, and MVL now has to decide whether to capture on g3 or not, as it is very likely that he has never seen this position before. And he does capture it. Bishop captures on g3, spending some 20 minutes deciding on this, new position. F captures and queen g5, going after the g3 pawn and the e3 pawn. Fabi defends with queen f2 and knight to d6. Fabi goes castles kingside, rook a to e8 and rook a to c1. Very useful as the c pawns are doubled. We have bishop to d7, adding a defender, and knight to d1, opening up the c file for the rook. Rook to e6, and we have queen back to e1. And with the position being as complicated as it is, and the position never being reached before, Fabi playing queen to e1 without burning any time on the clock, would have anyone running for their life. But not MVL. MVL just continues. We have rook f to e8, investing another 15 minutes here, so he's already down to 44 minutes on the clock. Rook f3, defending on e3, and now with the knight, queen, and rook, and rook 6 to e7. And here we have queen f2, putting pressure on the f7 pawn, pawn to h5, and the pawn to b4. We have pawn to g6, rook to f4, and now rook to e6. So it doesn't seem like there's a way to break through here. It seems like we're going to have a draw, maybe even an early one. But Fabi plays pawn to b5, saying that, yes, you have the b5 square covered, but the c7 pawn is undefended. So how do you defend here? And with MVL being down to 30 minutes on the clock, this is not an easy position to solve. But he's MVL, of course, he solves everything. C captures on b5, we have rook captures on c7, queen back to d8, attacking the rook, rook captures on a7, and the rook 8 to e7. We have rook to f6, offering a trade of rooks, king to g7, forcing the trade, rook captures, bishop captures, and rook captures on e7. We have queen captures on e7, and now just queen to b2. Fabi's up a pawn. He's ready to collect the other pawn as well on b5, and then just advances past a pawn to victory. But MVL saw all of this, and he just plays bishop to f5. So what is the idea here? Well, the idea is that he is putting pressure on the bishop, but also on the e3 pawn. So how does this connect? We have bishop captures on b5, knight captures on b5, queen captures, and now bishop to c2. This is the idea, removing the defender of the e3 pawn, and Fabi is up 2 pawns, but he has to give one of them back. We have queen to e2, bishop captures on d1, queen captures, and queen captures on e3 with check. King h2 and pawn to f5. Fabi is up a pawn, but MVL is not ready to give it up. Objectively, it is very difficult to hold this, as you do have a passed pawn and you just have to push it forward. And it's up to MVL to try and create some counter chances here, most likely by playing f4 or h4, because without opening up the white king, if the white king just remains in a safe house like this, then it's merely a matter of pushing the a pawn to victory. So here we have pawn to a4, pawn to f4, we have g captures, queen captures with check, and king to h1, followed by pawn to g5, wanting to open up the white king's position even further. We have pawn to a5 and pawn to g4, pawn to a6, and g captures on h3. We have g captures on h3, queen to e4 check, king h2, queen to f4 check, king to g2, and queen to e4 with check. We have queen to f3, blocking check, and queen captures on d4. So you have to give back another pawn in order to advance the a pawn. We have queen to f2, offering a trade and also keeping an eye on that a7 square. Queen to a4 and pawn to a7, followed by pawn to h4. Now, can you win this? Yes, objectively the position is winning, but it's not easy, and you guys will have a chance. We have queen e3, king to f6, queen to c3 with check. We have king to g6 and queen to c5, followed by queen to e4 check. And now, how do you win this? There's one square that's really good for the white queen. All of the other squares are not. So what would you play here? Where do you go with the king? That is the question. Well, as it often is in chess, it's always the move you don't consider. And the move is king to f1. You're probably were thinking of king to f2 because then you'd also prevent queen to f3 check. And it's such a natural move to make, but it's actually king to f1. And I will show why. It's because after king to f1, black will play d4, of course, as there's no other counterplay. Now you pin the pawn, queen c4, but also you stop all the checks. And by that, I mean after queen f3 check, king to e1, queen to e3 check, you can block with queen e2, and after queen to c1 check, king to f2, queen to f4 with check, king to g1. Now, if you give a check here, then just you block with the queen. You trade queens and win the game, as you have one square to promotion. And if queen to c1 check, queen to f1, queen to e3 check, you will go king to h1, and no more checks, because queen e4 check is met with queen g2 check, and that's it. King f5, a8 queen, and now it's completely winning. But after queen e4 check, even with so much time on the clock, Fabi goes king to f2. And now the position is once again a draw. But it really does make sense. I mean, why allow queen f3? Well, you have to allow it, otherwise it's a draw. We have pawn to d4, and now the problem is the same idea of queen c4 no longer works, because now you have just king h6. And again, it looks all the same because no one really understands queen and pawn endgames. Queen a6 check, king to h7, and now once you bring a queen into the game, the black covering e3 and g3 makes it possible for a perpetual using this dark square diagonal. So you're just going to go queen e3 check, king g2, queen g5 check, king h2, queen f4 check, and it doesn't matter where you go, queen to c1 check, king g2, queen g5 check, and so on and so on. You just keep hold of this diagonal and continue checking the white king. So queen and pawn endgames. Yeah, I mean, I've tried learning them. I even have a book where some 20 years ago I went through it, and then I felt comfortable playing them. But still, when I actually have to apply the knowledge in a classical game, and I feel like I'm doing really well, I mess stuff up, as does everyone else. So queen to c1. Not the best move, but also there's no move that wins. So queen c1 is perfectly fine. We have king to h7 and queen to c7 with check, king to h6, queen to d6 with check, king h7, queen to c7 with check, king h6, and queen to b6 with check, king g7, and now queen to a5. You have to give a move if you are to advance the pawn. But now queen e3 check, king to f1, and even queen captures on h3 with check. So Fabi gives up another pawn. in order to try and make progress, but it is impossible to make progress. We have king e1, queen e3 check, king d1, queen f3 check, king c1, queen a8, now blocking the passed pawn. Queen to c7 with check, king h6, we have queen to b8, hoping to trade queens, of course, queen to c6. With check, we have king to b1, queen to e4 check, we have king to b2, and now queen to e2 check, king to a3, and queen to d3 check. And believe it or not, Fabi is once again winning. But how do you win it? That is the question. Fabi played king to b4. And it makes perfect sense. I mean, b4 square, obviously, it must be winning. But no, you have to block with the queen. Queen b3 is the only move that wins the game. Because now after queen to a6, now you go queen a4. And after queen to d3 check, now you go king b4. And now it's very much different because there's no stopping promotion. Queen c3 check, king to b5, queen to b2 check, king to c6, queen to g2 with check, you're going to play queen b6, and now after queen to b2 check, you're going to block with queen to b5. And after queen to a3, covering the a8 square, now you just give a check, and you have the square covered. And that's it. Wherever the black king goes, you're just going to bring a queen into the game, and now your position is winning. You have 2 queens, your opponent has 1. Even though that's not always winning either, but here it is. So after queen to d3 check, king to b4 was played again, missing it. Now it's again a draw. Queen to c3 with check, king to b5, and queen to b3 with check. We have king to c5, and of course another check. Queen to c2 check, and now there is no escaping checks. King d5, queen g2 check, king e5, queen g5 check, king e4, queen g2 check, and after a million more checks, one more pawn was given, and here the players agreed to a draw after a threefold repetition, or rather it was a draw by threefold repetition. So yeah, that's why I say, you have to know everything. You have to learn theory, and it is actually useful to learn queen and pawn endgames, even though, you will never be able to do it. It's just what we do as chess players. We learn and then we fail. So yeah, hope that helps. But yeah, very nicely done by MVL, defending this very difficult position. We'll see what happens in the other game. There are 2 classical games being played. MVL gets the white pieces today. So we'll see if he will be able to maybe take the full 6 points away from Fabi. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Christopher Thompson, Robert Arathun, Rokaho, John Anderson, and Ulrich Thürny for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day. And if you still haven't, first link in the description below. Download Lotus Chess and start crushing your opponents today. It is the best. See you soon.